I went as a child, just reinvoke those childhood memories.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chasing Light, the collective by creators for creators. In today's episode, I'm joined by the wonderful Masuk from Nepal, who's currently living in the UK, and is joining us from the wonderful Bournemouth. Masuk, how are we?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me in this project. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on board, and I'd say in terms of everyone involved in the project, your work kind of screams the most culture. It's the most cultural sort of. It captures a lot of people just capture landscapes or they capture the surroundings near them. But obviously, you're currently based in England, so these photos are all way before COVID, I would presume. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess sort of now acting as memories right now. Is that sort of a good way of looking at it?
Yeah. I would say that's a good way of looking at them.
Is that part of the reason perhaps you do photography, sort of as a way of capturing life in the moment, or
Yeah, I would say like it's a nice way to kind of like look back at the things you've done, really. And yeah, and especially during this time, it really does feel good to kind of like take a little break and just think back about the times that you spent, really.
does reminiscing, does it help you or does it hinder you, do you think, reminiscing? Because sometimes it can be
Um,
someone's worst enemy, reminiscing on sort of living in the past a little bit, or is it quite useful right now?
I do feel like it's quite useful right now because, as I said, because we're kind of like locked in our houses,
Yeah, yeah.
and I just feel like looking back at the time where like we're allowed to go out, uh, it does. Oh no, I don't know really what to say.
That's all right. That's all right. It's, I guess, refreshing.
Yeah, profession. Yeah.
And I guess not how you said it in terms of the fact that we're locked away at home at the moment, the restrictions that are currently in place. It's funny that you said, I think a lot of people probably would have quite different views on it. I think for someone like myself, like sometimes I love looking back on memories and it's really great to like live in those moments. But
Hmm.
it can be like the hardest reality when then you appreciate sort of a snap back to reality of what's going on in the real world right now. And it's funny that you've said that you actually enjoy looking back on memories, and I don't want to sound like a pessimist saying, "Oh, looking back on memories is a bad thing," but I
Yeah.
think I think it can be healthy for you, and it sometimes can't be. But do you not perhaps agree with that, or
Oh yes. I do. Yeah, 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 yeah. For sure, for sure.
and sort of does I don't know how to put this. I guess is Nepal somewhere you would have travelled a lot before lockdown, or not? Am I on the wrong sort of path there?
Um, the thing with Nepal is since like some of my family are there, so I at least go to visit them at least once every 2 years.
Okay.
So I guess it is like I don't know really how to word it. Yeah, it's definitely a place that I travel a lot to. Yeah.
And is that, I presume, because of family you've still got over there, or
Oh yes, yeah. Definitely for a family reason, and also like it just feels nice to be somewhere other than in the UK. Like life is more me personally. I feel like it's a more like calmer there. Like you just
yeah?
feel free.
Does it feel a bit more like home for you living in Nepal, or
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I pretty much like spent most of my childhood there. Like until I was 10. So it does feel for me
oh
to
wow,
me.
so a good half of your life, because you
Yeah.
are 22 now, 21, 22 now,
Yes, I'm 22 now.
22. So you spent a good half of your life living in Nepal. So
Mhm.
it's not like you came here as a young child. You spent, yeah, you spent a good half. So
Yeah.
it's interesting saying that even now as a young adult, that still feels more like home for you. And talk a bit more
Yeah.
about that. Is that sort of what your photos in the chapter sort of resonate? Is that how you visualize home still?
Yes. I'm not trying to capture the places I went as a child. Just to like reinvoke those childhood memories. Yeah.
That's a really nice way of putting it. I'd never really thought about. I guess
Yeah.
there's probably quite a few people resonate sort of similar to what I'm about to say in the fact that you feel, I guess I'm not uncultured. I guess you know, I understand cultures around the world. I just haven't traveled necessarily as much as the next person.
Mm.
And having always lived in the same house, having always been brought up in the same area, it's interesting to hear that because my childhood is still, I guess, my adulthood now, sort of thing. Nothing's really changed for me in that dynamic. So I guess and now I feel kind of bad having said that. Maybe looking back on memories is a bad thing sometimes, because looking back on memories like that is actually, well, a bit more than just refreshing. Like we said, it's rejuvenating almost.
Yeah,
It's like a new lease of life a little bit, because back then, nothing to worry about, living your best life, sort of
for sure.
literally nothing to worry about. Whereas now, not only do you just have adult stresses, you have this incredibly strange era of lockdowns, which no generation's ever experienced before. So
Yeah.
I guess you are experiencing a bit more than just memories with those photos.
Hmm.
And so, do you sort of? There's like I said, there's lots of culture in the chapter that you've got, and does it is that culture still a big part of your life now in England, or is that very much you look forward to just going back to that when you go to Nepal, and it's very different over here?
Um, yeah, I would say the culture is still there, but
Okay,
it just feels a lot more modernized, if that makes sense.
or perhaps not modernized, perhaps just westernized.
Westernized, yeah, 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 yeah. That's
It,
a
I think that's actually what we're talking about here, isn't it? It's not necessarily moving forward. You know, a lot of Western culture can be at fault for making people feel that way, when in reality, and that's the dangerous thing about these Western nations, including the UK, America, and places
yeah.
like that, is it does like you've just said, in the fact that it feels like it's been modernized, when in reality it has just been westernized. That's actually what's happened.
Westernized. Yeah, actually, now that I think back at it.
Do you know what I mean? It's quite
Yeah, yeah,
dangerous
yeah.
that
You're
it
right.
gets
You're
to
right.
that point.
Yeah.
And I it's funny because some of the work, and obviously you can go and check out Masuk's Instagram on screen. It doesn't really show a lot of home for you when you look at your
Yeah.
account. It's a lot of it's UK based stuff. What's going on there then? Do you not feel like you want to share necessarily things that are close to home from the pool on like your online space, or is you just not got around to that kind of thing yet?
I've just not got around to that thing yet. I do have some pictures from Nepal, but not as, yeah, as you said, not as much as you expect to see there.
And yeah, talk to me about that. Talk to me. What's the reason behind that? Is that
Yeah. As I mentioned before, because I only go to like Nepal like once every 2 years,
mhm.
so I guess like since I'm not going there that often, that that's also one of the reasons why.
Yeah?
But
It's just purely because you
purely because
can't
yeah,
keep. There's not
yeah,
enough content within the amount of time that you've been there. No, I
yeah,
completely get
yeah.
that. Which kind of leads me on to, I guess, when did photography start for you, and how long have you been doing it for?
Ooh, that's a good question. Photography for me first started when I was around, I would say around 7. Yeah,
Oh wow! So
around
we're in
7.
around 7.
Yeah, around 7.
So we're
Because my
actually in Nepal when you first picked up a camera.
yeah, I was actually in Nepal because my uncle used to take some pictures, but he wasn't like a professional, but like at the
No,
time,
did it
everyone
for
had
the
it.
passion.
Yeah, everyone used to have their little film camera,
Hmm, hmm.
and yeah, that's was my first first exposure with
It's so I guess obviously you wouldn't have been shooting to the standard that you are now, and you've obviously learned a lot. But 15
Mhm.
years of kind of having an interest in cameras is quite something in itself.
Yeah.
And do you sort of do you feel like you've learned a lot on that journey? Has photography helped you over the last 15 years?
It has certainly helped me like creative wise because sometimes I would just just feel so like burnt out and just lacking creativity.
Mhm.
So in order to help me with that, I would just normally just pick up a camera and just like go out, take some pictures, and yeah, that just kind of helps me to feel more productive and creative.
Which is a really nice way of putting it, especially for now. And
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
feeling burnt out is something that a lot of people definitely feel right now, because it's like an uphill struggle all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you said, you're locked at home, so that's challenging your creativity as it is, let alone getting motivated in these times. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
so. Have you been able to pick up a camera and go out recently, or do you still not feel comfortable to do that?
Yeah.
And has it sort of has it made you explore anywhere new that you wouldn't have normally gone to in your local area? Have you been in Bournemouth the whole time that you've been in lockdowns?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I guess like personally, I feel like Bournemouth is like a really good place to be locked in, like
Hmm.
because you have so many nice coastal areas where you can just hike, and that's what
Oh,
I've been
okay.
doing quite like recently. I've been going on like different hikes and just take pictures of the landscape.
Oh,
And for your project,
I noticed
yeah,
recently that you went to Chapman's Pool.
yes, yes. For your actually your project has actually like inspired me to take more landscape pictures because I don't normally take landscape pictures, you know.
Oh,
Like I'm
that
more
is
of a
well, that's great to hear. I'd never even considered that sort of side to
yeah,
it.
because
And
I'm more of a like a street photography shooter.
okay,
So yeah, your project has actually really helped me to explore the
well, I
landscape
appreciate that a lot.
and
And
photography scene.
if you wanted any more sort of influence on that, not just yourself, Masuk, but people at home listening, there's an
Mm.
episode with Ben from a couple episodes ago in the series, and he talks about how he finds people misconceptualize the idea of being a landscape photographer with the idea of being sort of boring, I guess. And he likes to sort of put it as try and tell a story no matter where you are,
Oh, okay.
um, which is a really nice way of looking at it. And it makes you think outside the box in the fact that
Cool.
you can kind of open up a whole new perspective and create in a whole new way. So hopefully, from this project, that's something useful you potentially could take from that. And it feels nice to know that someone, even in the book, someone who's inspiring other people is being inspired themselves, which is a lovely thing to know.
Yeah.
And hopefully, maybe if we were to be put in another lockdown again, or restrictions would be tightened for whatever reason in the future, maybe this is a new outlet again for you a little bit to go out and explore those new areas within sort of Dorset.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anywhere that you sort of are heading next, or does it affect you the fact that there are travel restrictions still sort of in place? Because although you are doing a bit of hiking in the area, there's
Mhm.
probably a lot more along this coastal landscape that you sort of still want to go and explore.
Yeah. The thing with restriction, I feel like I don't know really because I feel like no one's really checking on you when you're like out in like out hiking into this like rural places.
Yeah,
But
but
so
I see what you're saying. I completely see what you're saying. Would you? So that's a good thing, or is that sort of part of the reason we're still here? Do you think? With
oh right. Because I do feel guilty for
oh,
going out and
okay, that's
traveling.
interesting. I hadn't considered that. Okay,
There is some guilt, but
interesting.
but the mindset I currently have is because like like you're in somewhere like open space but where people don't really go to.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess
So
it's just you and your camera. So,
yeah, yeah. So I've just been having that mindset with
what's it like? Because are you at home on your own, in lockdown, or are you with other people?
oh so I'm currently sharing a flat with one of my friends.
Oh, okay. So it's
Um,
not completely on your own.
yeah,
So,
so it's something on my own.
So when you go out hiking, is that like a lone thing, or is that with your friend, or?
Yeah, we normally go together. So
Mhm.
sometimes I'll just go on my ones. But yeah, it's depends when we're both free, you know.
No, I completely get that. And if you're on your own, it's quite interesting hearing that because one of the creators I've already spoken to was saying that even when you're out shooting on your own, it can feel a little bit, it can feel isolating and a bit suffocating as it is, just being in lockdown. And then to be out on your own still can feel a little bit lonely and a bit strange in itself. So, does that ever play on your mind, or do you quite enjoy being out on your own?
Actually, I do see where they're coming from, but
Hmm.
me personally, I actually enjoy my
That's
own
good to hear, and it's actually
company. Yeah.
it's quite useful to have that sort of self motivation. I would say, especially in
Hmm.
times like this, and
Yeah.
to be able to get out there on your own and still enjoy it for what it is. Do you think with this sort of newfound, well, it's quite interesting that you said you got a newfound sort of perspective in landscape photography. Do you think when you're allowed to, I don't know when it's going to be, no idea, but when you can go back to Nepal, do you think you're going to have a whole new sort of perspective when you go back there?
Oh yes, for sure, for sure. Cause
And
like,
oh yeah, carry on.
Nepal. Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry, I interrupted. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, because Nepal has some like really good landscapes,
Hmm.
especially its mountainous regions,
Hmm.
which I've traveled to actually. I would really love to actually now now it's actually like motivated to like actually go there and take some more landscape photos.
It's really interesting. I didn't ever think that somebody within the book, within the project, would be sort of taken up by it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's funny because it's you guys who are sort of doing the inspiring, and now it's nice to know
yeah.
that you're being inspired yourself to go out there, and it's quite heartwarming for myself, really, knowing that sort of I had a bit of an impact and bring that to you. And I'd love to just sort of be able to sit and chat loads more, but I think we're on quite a nice note anyway, in the fact that you're inspired, and hopefully by Masuk being inspired, you guys at home listening can sort of feel a bit of inspiration as well. I think before we go, Masuk, is there anything you would sort of, if you go back in time before
Mhm,
COVID and with the motivation you've got now to go out there, do you have any regrets that perhaps you didn't go out and do any more sort of landscape? Because although you've already created some amazing landscape photography in the shots that you've sent me and you've captured culture in this exceptional way, is there any
mhm.
regrets you have from the past now, or is it just you look forward and look forward to the future a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like to dwell on the past too much, like in terms of like having a regret. Like, I'm a type of person to just think like, okay, like it is what it is, it's done. But now it's made me excited to travel back to Nepal and take some more landscape photography.
Nice. That's what we love to hear.
Yeah.
Love a good landscape photo, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And hopefully,
Yeah.
this chat has inspired you again. Just being able to talk to me and sort of, it must be quite nice to be able to share some memories like this a little bit because it's not. I guess this project's a little bit more than just photos and a book. It's an opportunity to talk to someone, which
Yeah. Yeah.
isn't something we're getting to do a lot about at the moment. And it's been amazing for me to meet all of you amazing people and make some new friends. And hopefully, it's going to do the same thing for you because obviously you're all going to be connected at some point and you can all continue to motivate each other. So it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Masood.
You too, mate.
And I wish you well in the future. And I look forward to seeing whatever comes next. Hopefully, you'll be out on some more Dorset hikes and we can see some more exciting stuff come from those things.
Yeah, we should definitely get together, man.
Oh,
And
100%. I'd love to.
hike.
Would love to. Well, you can hear plenty more from Masuk in the rest of his work that he's producing. You can go check out his Instagram that's on screen. And of course, feel free to check out the book, which will be online very, very soon. And I'll see you all in the next episode of the Chasing Light Collective. Thank you.